Okay. So, arkadaşlar, let me share my screen with you. I will go over several things with you before going further. This is, sorry, let me first share my screen and then we will go further. Okay. Can you see my screen, arkadaşlar? This is a PowerPoint slide. I hope you see it, right? So,
Yes, hocam.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes,
Arkadaşlar, let me check my chat over here so that I will be also see your comments and requests. Evet, last week we talked about, if you remember, we talked about estimation of the mean, right? So what were we doing previously? We had this kind of a representation. If you remember, this was the z distribution. We have 0 here, and the area under the curve here is like 1 minus alpha, and alpha over 2 is here, alpha over 2 is here. So what was alpha, arkadaşlar? Do you remember what alpha was? Anything you remember about alpha? I expect your results. I expect your answers, arkadaşlar. What was alpha? What was alpha? Alpha is the confidence coefficient, right? Confidence coefficient. If you remember, we were saying that 1 minus alpha is like, let's say alpha is 0.1, then it will be 0.90, which is like 90% confidence. You remember that, right? So 1 minus alpha was this. If you remember, we were doing this. Our z was between this point and this point. Okay, so our z is between these 2 points, and then the probability of obtaining a z between these 2 threshold points is 1 minus alpha, right? The probability of obtaining şimdi şöyle bir şey oluyor, ders zamanında gelmeyen olursa bu sefer benim yani ilgim çok dağılıyor, çünkü her birinizi tek tek kabul etmem gerekiyor derse. Lütfen zamanında gelin. Şu anda yani normal zamanın bir 10 dakika ilerisindeyiz zannediyorum, 7-8 dakika. Bu dersin yani effectiveness'ini ciddi anlamda azaltıyor. Lütfen yardımcı olun. Olur mu arkadaşlar? Evet. Do you remember this z equals this stuff? What was this? This was the mean of the sample, right? Mean of the sample. Sample mean. This was the mean of the population. This was the number of data points that we have. This was the standard deviation of our population, right? Standard deviation of the population. This is the mean of the population. So what we are trying to do is, we don't know this, right? We don't know mu. This is given to me. This is given by the samples. This is given, again, I collected this from the previous experience. I know this, but I don't know this, right? I'm trying to predict this. Where would my population mean be? Okay, that's my question. Where is my population mean? At which interval my population mean is? This is the main problem of chapter 9, okay? So this is how we go. This is z, and it is in a certain interval like that, between z alpha over 2. What was alpha? Confidence coefficient, which is we define, right? We define, or it is given in a question, okay? Alpha is something that we define. 90%, 95%, 99%. These are very common confidence confidence percentages, confidence interval levels, confidence levels, and alpha is the confidence coefficients that we determine by ourselves. Okay, so this is x minus mu. We are trying to find out this. Where would this mu be? Okay, we start from this problem. How do we do that, arkadaşlar? We keep this mu here, okay, and then give this x over here and x over here. So we will be having our mu between x plus this and x minus this value. Okay, what did we call this? This was called confidence interval. Do you remember what confidence interval was, arkadaşlar? Confidence interval. We were saying that I am 95% confident that mu would be in this interval. Okay, I am 95% confident that mu, the population mean, is in this interval. How do I determine 95%? By choosing this alpha. Okay, what I'm trying to do is to estimate mu. Okay, where my population mean is. Okay, so this is how we have it, right? This is my x here. Mu is somewhere over here. We don't know this. And what are we saying here? My mu is in this interval. It's somewhere here with 95% or 1 minus alpha times 100% probability. Okay? %95 olasılıkla popülasyonumun ortalaması bu aralıktadır. With 95% confidence that my mean of the population would be in that interval. Okay, that's the main idea behind this confidence interval topic. Okay, so what is the thing that we know, arkadaşlar? This is critical. We know the variance, we know the standard deviation. Okay, and we know that we know this from our samples. This is something that we determine. Okay, and this is also given in the question or given in my research. Okay, so now I have a couple of questions to you and I want you to give me answers using chat. Okay, are you ready, guys? Yes. What is the first question? What is the goal here? What is that I am doing right now? What is that I am doing right now? Please write me in private. Okay, write me privately. What is the goal here? What I am trying to do here? I expect your inputs, arkadaşlar. Very nice, Ziya. Thank you. Mohammed Muhsin. Thank you. Samet. Thank you very much. Correct answer. Furkan. We know sample mean. We are trying to find out the mean of the population, right, arkadaşlar? Mean of the population. We are trying to find out where the mean of the population is, right? Yes, thank you very much, Bilal, Mahmud. Yes, determining the mean means population mean, right, Mahmud? Yes. Find the mean of the population. I think you got the point. Let me go to the next question. This is the next question. What happens to the length of the confidence interval, this interval, well, if I increase the sample size? If I increase the sample size, what happens? Yes, yes, very nice, Samet, Ibrahim, Furkan. I want more answers. How would my confidence interval be affected if I increase the number of samples? Yes, Abdullah Hamdi, it gets more accurate, which means the confidence interval, the length will increase or decrease. The length will decrease, right? Because you know this n is increasing, this This was called standard error of the mean. Standard error of the mean. Standard error of the mean goes down if I increase n. So this coefficient times standard error of the mean will go down, right? X minus this will go down. That means now this will go from here to here. This will go from here to here. Now my confidence interval is narrower. Okay? So the goal is to estimate population mean, okay, in a certain interval. In a certain interval. The answer to this question is, if we increase the sample size, if n increases, standard error of the mean decreases, which means z alpha over 2 times standard error of the mean decreases, which will lead to decreased interval. Okay, interval length will decrease. Okay, I think you got the message, right? It's easy. I think you understand. It will be narrower. Let's go to the next question. What happens to the length of the confidence interval if we increase the value from 0.05 to 0.10? So if I change alpha from, this is going to be 0.025. This was, alpha was this, right? Now alpha over 2 is this. Now it is going to change to 0.05. What happens if I increase alpha value? If I increase alpha value, what will happen? What will happen to the length of the confidence interval arkadaşlar? Ibrahim, thank you. Correct answer. I'm asking you, what would happen to the length of the confidence interval? What would happen to this interval? The length of this interval, what would happen to this? Will it be narrower or will it be more wider? Narrow or wide? Small or large? If I increase z alpha over 2, arkadaşlar, if z becomes 0.05, what happens? If alpha is larger, that means it is over here, right? So it was 95% before. Now it is 90%. It dropped from 95% to 90%. Now it will be like this area will be smaller, right? So the z will be, is it going to be smaller or larger? Will z be a large value or a small value? If I increase alpha, it will be a small value, right? Yes, it will be a small value. So this z value will drop, right? If I increase alpha, 1 minus alpha, if I increase alpha, 1 minus alpha value will drop down. That means z alpha over 2 will also go down because it will be a smaller value, okay? If this goes down, then the interval will also be narrower. Everybody got what I understand? Please look at this. The confidence interval was 2 times z alpha over 2 sigma over root n, right? This is confidence interval length. So if this goes down, confidence interval will go down. So if I increase alpha from this to this, my confidence interval length will go down. Okay? Everybody got what I'm explaining here? Everybody understood what I'm saying? Yes? Arkadaşlar, this was a kind of summary of what we have covered in the previous week. Now I'm going to go further with something new, okay? It is called, before going one step further, I would like to talk about the error here, okay? Arkadaşlar, so actually my sample mean is this, my population mean is this, right? So there is an error between the sample mean and this and the population mean. So what would be the maximum value of the error? What would be the maximum value of the error? Maximum error. I'm asking you, what would be the maximum value of the error? Samet, is it the whole interval or half of it? The ending points. Bakın arkadaşlar, the error, is it from here to here? Is it from here to here? Or the error would be, you see, this mu can be either over here, maximum close to the lower value, or maximum over here, right? Close to the upper value. So what would be the error then? Error is like x times mu, let's say. What would it be? It would be this value, right? Only half. So the error is either on the positive side or the negative side. It cannot be the whole confidence interval. It can only be one side of it, right? Burayı anladık mı arkadaşlar? Half interval might be the maximum error. The error is between the sample mean and the actual mean. Sample mean and the actual mean. What can be the error? It can be only either or here, right? It can be close to the upper limit or the lower limit. But it is either on the positive side or the negative side. So it is half the interval, right? So the half the interval, confidence interval, will be the maximum error level. So if arkadaşlar, Muhsin asked something a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about the number of samples that we choose. Bakın, what we do here is we try to limit ourselves with the error that we might tolerate. Tamam mı? Error that we might tolerate. This error, we define this. We tolerate a certain error, right? Tolerate. So we discuss this error. We define this error, we define the confidence interval, and we know the variance of my population. Using these information, I would find out the sample size that I should be using. Anlıyor muyuz burayı? So, if I specify an error, I can find out the number of samples that I should be taking. If I would like my error to be very low, if I would like my error to be really low, what should I do arkadaşlar? If I want my error to be really low, what should I do? I should take a lot of samples, which is really expensive, which is really, in some cases, not possible. You may not find enough samples. You may not find enough data to support your estimation problem, right? So increasing n looks like it is simple, but it is not simple as it seems, okay? Because it means you increase the cost of your research. So you have to be careful while choosing your error tolerance and the sample size, okay? So the error of the estimation is between the sample error, sample mean, and population mean, and we can change the tolerance of our error by changing sigma, z value or the error value. Okay, you got the message, I guess. Evet arkadaşlar, let me go further. Before, what did we say? What did we say? Before we knew sigma, this was known, okay? X bar was given, n was given. I know this from my data set, okay? But mu was, sigma was known, okay? What were we doing? We were doing this z stuff as we did before, right? Sigma over root n. And then we were finding the confidence interval by x plus and minus z alpha over 2 sigma over root n, right? This is what we have done before. Now, what happens if I don't know this? If this is not known, okay? What did we say before? Yes, t distribution. We said that if I know sigma, then I can immediately go to the standard normal distribution, which is z distribution. Now, if I don't know standard deviation, if standard deviation of the population is not known, which is the realistic situation that we have usually, okay? You are working on cancer patients, you wouldn't know the exact standard deviation of a certain parameter in that patient, right? So you wouldn't know the standard deviation of the something in the production line. So more realistically, we would work using the t distribution, okay? This is called t interval for a mean. What are we trying to do again? We are trying to estimate, predict our mean in a certain interval this time, okay? It is not only one. Before, we said we were trying to find the points, like x bar was the estimator of mu, p hat was the estimator for p, sample proportion, population proportion, sample mean, population mean, right? This was called point estimation, okay? Now, what are we trying to do? We are trying to do interval estimation, arkadaşlar. Interval estimation. So that's why we are saying that the mu value would be somewhere here, okay? Between these two lower limit and upper limit. Somewhere here, my x bar would sit, okay? But I don't know where mu is. I'm saying that it is in this interval. If I don't know sigma, if sigma is unknown, what should I do? I should estimate sigma. What was this? This was the estimator of, or estimation of the variance, right? Variance estimation, or this is kind of standard deviation. Standard deviation. S square was the variance of the sample. Okay? So S square was the variance of the sample. S is the standard deviation of the sample. How do we find it? This divided by 1 over n minus 1 square root. Do you remember this, arkadaşlar? Yes? Everybody remembers this standard deviation of the mean stuff? Yes, arkadaşlar? I can hear only from a couple of people right now. Yes, 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 yes. I want to hear more yeses, arkadaşlar. Let's use our fingers, please. Okay. Thank you very much. Are you with me, guys? Yes. Are you with me? Yes, you are with me. Nice to hear that. Nice to see that. Şimdi, what were we doing before? We were doing this before, right? We didn't know this. We don't know this. In previous problems, last week, we were saying that this is the mean of the population, and we were trying to find out some probabilities over there. What is the point? In this case, we are trying to find out the t value, arkadaşlar, değil mi? T value. Do I know this? Yes. Do I know this? No. I'm trying to find out this, the interval of this one. Do I know this? Do I know S? Arkadaşlar, do I know S? Do I know S? Yes, I know it from my sample, right? I can easily find the sample standard deviation from my sample, and this is also known, right? So let's look at this T distribution. Do you remember this T distribution? What was specific about T distribution? As we increase n degrees of freedom, the number of samples that we have, it will converge to Z distribution. But if n is small, less than 30, we should be using T distribution if we don't know the standard deviation, okay? We don't know the standard deviation of the population. If n is small, then we use this T distribution. It was similar. We again have the T value, T alpha over 2. Before it was Z alpha over 2. But now I have this, right? We call this degrees of freedom, D of F, n minus F, right? And the probability of obtaining a value between this and this will be 1 minus alpha. Again, this is called confidence coefficient, alpha. And we will also talk about 95%, 90% kind of thing. This is called confidence level, right? You remember, it is not level, it is level. Not level, level, okay? Confidence level. So, what are we trying to do? X bar is my point estimate. But I'm not interested in just one point. I'm just interested in one interval. That's why we call this as the confidence interval or interval estimate, okay? So, again, I will have this kind of an interval. What is this lower limit, arkadaşlar? What is this lower limit? X bar minus T alpha over 2 n minus 1 times S over root n. This is the lower limit. How about upper limit? X bar plus T alpha over 2 n minus 1 S over root n, right? So this is my interval. Buralar anlaşıldı mı arkadaşlar? I hope you got the message, right? So this is called standard error of the mean, as we mentioned before. And this is called the margin of the error. That means maximum error that we might have, okay? In T interval. T interval for the mean. That means I don't know sigma. I estimate the variance by using S formulation. Then using the T distribution values, T values, as I mentioned here, T values, I find the confidence interval. You get the message, right? It was, how was it before? X bar is an estimate of mu. This was the same thing. Here I was using Z alpha over 2 and sigma before in Z test or Z interval or confidence interval when I know sigma. Okay, this was the standard error of the mean. Instead of S, we were using sigma. Here we were using maximum error, no degrees of freedom, Z alpha over 2 and sigma, right? So you get the main difference between T interval and Z interval. So one of them, the main difference is what? The main difference is what, arkadaşlar, here between Z and T intervals? What is the main difference between Z and T interval? Another more important, evet Bilal, thank you very much. Another more important thing, degrees of freedom is important, yes, but one more important thing is what? What is the main difference between Z interval and T interval? What is the main difference between? Yes, Ömer, thank you very much. Ibrahim, thank you, correct. Samet, let's be more specific. Like you say n greater than 30 and less than 30. This is one difference, but more importantly, we in Z interval, arkadaşlar, sigma is known. In T interval, sigma is not known. That's the main difference between these two. Okay? Benimle miyiz arkadaşlar? Thank you very much. Yes? Z interval, sigma known, T interval, sigma unknown. Let's move. Evet. Let's have an example here. I want you to think about, read it first. You have 30 seconds to read the question. And then tell me how you would solve this problem. How you would solve this problem. What is the question here? What is the question here? So we are trying to find out the mean of the population, right? What is the mean of the population? Average number of pounds of beef. Et yeme. Ortalama yıllık et yeme miktarı. Kaç kilogram? Kaç pound? Okay? We are trying to find out the average kilogram of meat or beef consumed per person in the United States. Okay, that's the question. How would I solve it? I'm trying to find out a confidence interval. What's the first step? I need to find X bar, right? Değil mi arkadaşlar? I need to find X bar. And I need to find S, right? Sample standard deviation, sample mean. I know these. What is another thing that I should be knowing? How many samples do I have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, right? So I know N is 16. Do I know anything else? Do I know the T value? Do I know the T value? I will define that, arkadaşlar. T alpha over 2. T alpha over 2. Here, what should I write? What should I write? T alpha over 2, comma, 15. Why 15? This is N minus 1, right? N minus 1. Degrees of freedom. So I will define this. I will find from this given data these values. Then what shall I do? I will write my confidence interval like this, right? S over root N. That's it, right? So easy. So from the data, I write it in MATLAB or in Excel, find the mean, find the variance, then take the square root, find S, then go to the T table and find out what would be, for example, alpha over 2 would be 0.025, then alpha would be 0.05. That means 95% confidence, right? Confidence level will be 95%. That's what I determined. It's either given in the question or I determine it myself. Tamam mı arkadaşlar? Burası önemli. So I determine this and then I find the confidence interval. What will I say? 95. I am 95% confident that the average number of pounds of beef consumed in each person in the USA would be in this interval. Anlıyor muyuz arkadaşlar? I am saying that 95% of the time, if I collect these samples, 95% of the time, this would be my confidence interval. Okay, let me show you how I go further. Okay, this is what I said. T is 0.0, alpha is 0.05, alpha over 2 is this, n minus 1, and I find the t value here. I put it in this example. I find the mean and the standard deviation using the calculator or my Excel, then find out that the mean would be in this interval. Okay, you got the message, right? You understand what's going on, arkadaşlar? You understand what's going on? So it's easy that you can follow me if I hope that that's the situation. Evet, let's go further. What happens if I increase? What happens if I increase n? What happens if I increase n? What did we say before? What did we say before, arkadaşlar? T ratio approaches an approximate normal distribution regardless of the distribution of the original data. Okay? So if n is large, such as n is greater than 30, then we might use z, okay, instead of t, okay? Instead of using this, we might use the z value directly, okay? So that's we should be knowing in that case. Bakın, these are critical points that I should remind you of. This is if data are normally distributed, if data are, or the data is normally distributed, we should be, our assumption is our data is normally distributed. Bakın, this is what data actually, if my sample is normally distributed, I can immediately use, and my n is less than 30, I will use this. Okay? If my data is not normally distributed, but if n is greater than 30, I use t. Okay? If my data is not normally distributed by n, but n is less than 30, I should use non-parametric approaches, which we will not cover here, but you may need them later. Okay, non-parametric methods. Algoritma anlaşıldı mı acaba? If my data is normally distributed, I check the number of samples that I have. If it is less than 30, I use t interval. If it is greater than 30, I use z interval, z values, which t values and z values are very close to each other when n is greater than 30. If my distribution is not normal, then I will be using non-parametric methods, which is out of the scope of this course. Okay, so the main thing that we are talking about will be either normal distribution or not normal distribution, but n is greater than 30, because due to the central limit theorem, if n is greater than 30, any distribution would converge to a normal distribution, right? That was what we have covered before. Burası anlaşıldı mı acaba? Evet arkadaşlar. So I want you to summarize the algorithm with your own sentences right now in one minute. I want you to tell me the algorithm, how you would approach to this problem. I am giving you something, what are the things that you would be looking at? What are the things that you would be looking at in order to come up with a good result, like robust result? So what should we first check? What is the first point that we should be checking arkadaşlar? Whether, first thing, I'm giving you some time to think about it. Before sample size, you should be checking one thing. Evet Furkan, thank you. Evet Mahmut, correct. Before knowing mean and S, what should we be checking? Evet, thank you very much. I got nice answers arkadaşlar. Let me write the algorithm again here. What is the first thing that we should be checking? Check the data. Check the data. This is going to be used by you in your project arkadaşlar, final project, the big project. Okay, this is critical that you understand this part. You should be checking your data. If it is normally distributed or not, okay? Not normally distributed. If your data is normally distributed or not normally distributed. If your data is normally distributed, and if n is greater than 30, then we use Z interval or Z test, okay? In order to find out the probabilities and the confidence intervals, okay? If n is less than 30, what should I do? I should use T interval. One thing that I should be checking also, arkadaşlar, here I should check the sample size and also what? Do I know sigma or not? Do I know sigma or not? If sigma is known, use the interval. If sigma is not known, okay, then use T interval, unknown, sigma unknown, okay? Here sigma known, sigma unknown. If the data is not normally distributed, is not Gaussian, then if n is greater than 30, I may take it as like an T interval problem, okay? I may use T tables to find out the probabilities. If n is less than 30 and the data is not normally distributed, then I use, we call them non-parametric approaches, okay? Non-parametric approaches, non-parametric, okay? So this is the algorithm in general, arkadaşlar, okay? So in your research, you are gonna be, in your project, you're gonna be collecting data. What is the first thing that you should be doing? You should be checking normality, okay? And I want you to learn how to check if a data is normally distributed or not. In the previous slide set, I shared it with you. I want you to focus on it. How you would be finding out the normality of your data. Is it normally distributed or not? Bilal asks, what if sigma is known and n is less than 30 for a normal distribution? Sigma is known, n is less than 30. If sigma is known, z interval is always used, arkadaşlar. Whether we have this or not, okay? We don't care. The sample size, if sigma is known, then we use z interval immediately, okay? If sigma is not known, then we go to the t interval. Evet, it's almost time. Time is almost up. I guess I talked about the main differences. So first we look at the distribution of my data, then check whether if sigma is known or not. Usually sigma is not known, okay? Usually sigma is not given, usually, in our projects, in our research, in your project also. You will not know your sigma for sure. And then first check the normality, then check whether sigma is known or not. If sigma is not known, you have to go to the t test, okay? If the sample size is higher than 30, t distribution, t interval, t test will be fine. But if the distribution is not normal and the sample size is less than 30, then you have to find other ways to deal with this problem. Okay. So arkadaşlar, this is all for today. Any questions that you would be asking in a video, I will be sharing with you the two sample situations, and I'm not going to take your time right now. I'm going to shoot it myself, by myself. If you have any questions, please ask afterwards, and check the book. There is no classes on Thursday. There will be a homework assigned to you, whose deadline will be next Monday, and then you will decide on your group members and your topics by yourself, but I will give you some directions on how to find out a problem that you would be working on, okay? So everything is clear arkadaşlar. No classes on Thursday. Next class is on Monday. We will be having starting our discussions next week on chapter 9, chapter 10. And I want you to take a look at chapter 9, the questions in chapter 9 on your own from the book. And hopefully you will get the specifics of how to find the mean when a sample is given to me, okay? See you next Monday, inshallah. Hope you will have a great week and stay safe. And see you next week, inshallah, okay? See you arkadaşlar.